Do you need me to remind you of all the different elements at this point? Okay. Damn, I was hoping. So let's start sitting down, aligning body in a good posture, and then asking blessings, generating bodhicitta, and then going to Vajra breath. Like yesterday, simply, directly, just sensing the body. Sensing without effort. Knowing without effort. Not using any kind of focus or concentration. Not using mental pressure of focus in feeling the body. Not even 1 gram of pressure. A 0 gram pressure, which means no pressure. I remember this old Zen master in Japan. He's the fellow who I sometimes post a picture in Facebook with funny teeth and a funny smile. And he used to say that the meaning of life is plus minus 0. Here also, 0. Our practice is always first recognizing the natural state, establishing the so-called selfless mode. And from there, at this very moment, at any moment, any hour, any day, at this very moment, from that selfless mode, becoming aware of the self-based mode. Then this is Vipassana. And this is, you know, what 2-part formula is. It's kind of like a, you know, in Tibetan Buddhism, they have a Chokchen tradition in Nyingma school and Mahamudra tradition in Kagyu school. This is like a Mahamudra Vipassana, Mahamudra style Vipassana. Being aware and remaining aware, practicing insight meditation from the selfless mode, not from shamatha, but from selfless mode. Big difference there. It is kind of understandable that, you know, after all the hard work, when we finally recognize and kind of grasp without grasping the selfless mode, that we'd want to stay there. But this is only half of the equation. And in the long run, it's faulty practice from Buddhist perspective. So unfortunately, recognizing selfless mind, selfless awareness is not enough. We need to bring the self in whatever way or form we still have it, become aware of it, bring it back, so that we can see through it at this very moment. At this very moment, again and again and again and again. So an excellent way to ruin your very nice, very calm, very clear meditation is to, when you are resting in that recognition, 3 basic characteristics: knowingness, aliveness, and groundedness, all 3 combined. When you rest in that effortless recognition of the natural state, from there you can, in your mind, recall how you usually feel like. Recall your usual mind functioning. Recall your samsara. And this actually brings it back in your mind while you are in that selfless recognition. So what I mean by bringing back, I mean that how you usually feel like, how you usually think, and what kind of things you think, what kind of emotional reactions you have. Bringing that self back. Samsara is in the mind. We're going around in circles in our mind. So from our mind, we also can remove it and need to remove it by seeing through it. And this is the most direct way to do that and to accomplish that. Let's say, for example, that if you have sort of like a chronic fear or chronic tension of some kind, now in this recognition of the natural state, bring that back. Chronic tension, chronic fear, scaredness. If you have some kind of anxiety, perhaps in certain kind of situations, social anxiety is a very common one. Bring that back. If you tend to get angry easily, remember how that anger comes, how it feels like, and just bring it back now. And when you bring back your samsara, what do you do with it? You feel some sensation in your body-mind at the moment as you have brought it back. What do I do with that? Surrender to the pain. Give your body and mind, your heart, your whole being. Let the fear or anger or anxiety, give your whole being to it. Let it come into your heart. Just like you, when you generate bodhicitta, I always instruct people to feel the pain and welcome the pain of all sentient beings. Exactly the same thing. This is basically like you could think of it as a tonglen on oneself. So what does compassion mean anyway? So we have all these beings and even demons in our own mind. Fear is a being. Anxiety is a being. Anger is a being. You know, it's sort of like if we had, you know, if you think in that way, these beings are, you know, they have intelligence and existence on their own, of their own. How are beings liberated? Through emptiness insight, by seeing through them. And one way to do that, and a very effective way to accomplish this practice vipassana, is just surrender to the pain. Let it come over you. If and when we rest in the natural state, that moment we are actually at least partially Buddhas. We are Bodhisattvas. We are actually Bodhisattvas that moment. So we already know that we have this Buddha nature that has the characteristics of a Vajra. It's indestructible because there's nothing to destroy in the nature of mind. So whether it is a small or subtle being in our mind that we are working with, or whether it's a big demon of, you know, whether it's a big one, big and scary one, like a tsunami, we can still let it come. Because nothing will destroy your Buddha nature. And ultimately there is only one refuge, that of our true being, our true nature. So these scary, angry, depressed, anxious beings can take refuge and become liberated if you just let it come. This is what a real embrace means. This is what loving all sentient beings means. And this is what makes us, removes our confusion, our dukkha, and reveals our true being. Eventually makes us Buddhas, gets us to that stage, attainment, when all blind spots have been covered. And sitting still is useful in this. At a later stage, or perhaps even now, if you are advanced, you can practice this whenever you notice that your cookies or bananas come up among daily activities. You can just surrender it immediately. You don't have to sit down and, catch your breath before you do that. But sitting still is it's an immense gift because we can learn how to do this. If we couldn't learn and if we can't learn how to do this, then we are at the mercy of samsara, like most people are. But when we sit still with our body mass, whatever our weight might be, we have a strong backbone, we have a bone structure, we have muscles, we have mass, weight. The body doesn't break. Even if it was the biggest demon ever, size of 3 Mount Everests, our body won't break, taking it in, giving it refuge, helping it. And this is what being a practitioner, a Mahayana practitioner, a Bodhisattva means. Give your whole being, your whole body, your heart to your suffering, to your pain. Let it come into your heart. Invite it to your heart. To the same location that we cultivated yesterday. Yes, much better. The thing is that in our energy body, there are these magnificent and secret places, these centers, kind of like chakras, but they are chakras, areas that are never stained by karmas. They always remain pure. Just like in every nadi of your tens of thousands of channels, the core of every nadi remains pure, although the outer layer, that's where the karmic imprints are printed. So that's the secret with the heart. And there's also one in the gut, one in the head, these Mahasiddha Bhumi-like locations, just like the Mahasiddha Bhumi is above the head. So there is this about fist size, already perfectly enlightened Buddha right in your chest. That's why we can invite all the shit in the world into our heart, all the crap in our being, and it gets liberated if we just have the courage to do that. To have courage or to be fearless is something that, many, many masters have talked about. To have courage or to be fearless means to recognize the natural state. You can't be fearless or have true courage from the samsaric mind. So basically, having courage means to at least have faith or understand that we have Buddha nature. And you can't play or you can't scare the Buddha within, our true being, like you can screw with the samsaric mind. Even, big, scary, tough men like bikers, like biker gangs, they are actually scared a lot. They don't have that kind of courage or fearlessness. Fearlessness in our daily life. Fearlessness when we meet people and are with people. Fearlessness in the face of challenges, difficulties, hardships. Fearlessness in the face of sickness, old age, and death. Fearlessness in the face of karma. Letting it all come to our heart. And this is again a very feminine way of practice, just remaining open and receiving the suffering of beings. On the other hand, we also in Pemako practice, we do a lot of masculine practice, that dynamic, explosive thing. It's a curious thing. Samsara will take us straight to nirvana. Confusion takes us directly to liberation, to freedom. If you feel that somehow you are energetically stuck, somehow you feel that there is some kind of samsaric sensation or feeling, but it's not moving. Even though you welcome it to your heart, it's not reaching there. Well, what you can do is you can reach your heart to whatever the location is where you feel the stuckness. From your heart, feel the stuckness. Yes. It's a curious thing that, self-delusion, it means that we perceive ourselves in a way that is not realistic, that is not correct or truthful. We perceive ourselves in a faulty manner. And when that happens, we start perceiving everything else in a skewed manner. But then when we start to know ourselves, come in contact with our true being, and all these words, true being, true nature, natural state, it sounds fancy, somehow can sound somehow removed from our everyday life, can somehow sound too high of a teaching or something like this, that there is distance. But what we are really talking about is just ourselves, without all the skewing, all the twisting, all the perceptional skewing. Just ourselves, truly, authentically, our true being, the real, your own name, the real Kim, the real Carl, the real Monica, and so on. Truly, authentically, that we are without those obscurations. And when we know ourselves, we realize that we also suppress or put a lid on our expression in this life. We all know this, we might leave things unsaid when afterwards we feel we should have said something, we should have expressed ourselves honestly, directly, sincerely. We leave things unsaid, we leave things undone, or we do things that we don't really like. Our whole expression of our life becomes something that is not authentic, something that we don't really enjoy. Because everything gets twisted when we perceive in a... I hope I had more vocabulary, but I keep repeating the same words, but when we perceive ourselves in a mistaken manner. But then when we recognize ourselves, our true being, then the healing starts, the recuperation starts. We become ourselves and we begin to express it through our thinking, through our words, verbally, through actions. No longer making compromises in our life. Compromises in the sense that, that we lose or forget ourselves. We say things when things need to be said. We say things that are true to us rather than leave things unsaid. We act in a way that is authentic to us. And I'm not saying that we should do this and not do that. I'm talking about what this realization in everyday life means. And obviously, when I was speaking of fearlessness, it doesn't mean like, okay, now I remain fearless. It's not a game of thinking or game of attitude. There's a lot of when we talk about Mahasiddhas, Mahasiddha literally means a greatly attained adept or greatly attained master, perfected master. If we think of the terms Mahasiddha or Buddha or Buddhahood, again, these are foreign terms from Asia, and this often creates an image in our mind that it's something very fancy and far removed from us. But really, it's about this authenticity, having a clear mind, not fooling ourselves and not twisting ourselves, not skewing ourselves, and meeting our life in sort of like a naked fashion, in fresh fashion, rather than having loads of coping strategies for different situations. Very simple. And that's what the Buddha nature is. We don't learn to fly. We don't learn to make magic, creating money out of nothing, although that would be very handy. There's nothing like this. Just knowing who we really are. And in knowing who we really are, we can, from the yogic point of view, we can talk about bodhicitta and what that means, and what insight means, what emptiness means, what mahasiddha bhumis means, what different stages means, all these technical things. But in this actual experience of our true being, all of that is gone. Those are just things among other things. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of life itself, in us and in everything. So all that nonsense of holiness, or that somebody is highly attained. Highly attained means actually that you are realistic, authentic. You don't bullshit yourself and others like most others do. You don't fool yourself. It's actually like a pan-Buddhist phrase used in all kinds of traditions, but when it's said that things are just as they are, that's what it means. I am perfect as I am. You are perfect as you are. There's no need to change your personality. No need to change anything. Except if we have confusions, we have to perceive them. And in that way, those things that keep us deluded or keep us restrained, strained, I don't know what the word is. That's how they are removed. Let's chant "May all beings be free" 3 times together. And then let's have a short break and then do the Vajra Yoga practices. Inhale. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. Okay, let's take 5.